Jai Advaita Jaya Gaura Bhattacārya.
जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा.
Okay. So can you please read?
The Bhaṭṭācārya is converted for the impersonalist and voidist philosophers. The next world is a world of senseless eternity and bliss. The voidist philosophers want to establish that ultimately everything is senseless, and the impersonalists want to establish that in the next world there is simply knowledge without any activities. The less intelligent rationalists try to carry imperfect knowledge into the sphere of perfect spiritual activity. Because the impersonalist experiences material activity as miserable, he wants to establish spiritual life. Without activity, he cannot understand the activities of devotional service. Indeed, spiritual activity in devotional service is unintelligible to voidist philosophers and impersonalists. The Vaishnava philosophers know perfectly well that absolute truth, the supreme personality of Godhead, can never be impersonal or void, because he possesses innumerable potencies through his innumerable energies. He can present himself in multiple forms and still remain the absolute supreme personality of Godhead. Thus, despite expanding himself in multiple forms and diffusing his innumerable energies, he can maintain his transcendental position.
So Lord Chaitanya, he's explaining, because Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya, he was speaking 10 days about Vedanta Sutra, and he asked Lord Chaitanya, oh, you're not asking any questions, you're not saying anything, are you understanding or no? Lord Chaitanya says, I perfectly understand Vedanta Sutra, but your explanation is wrong, you're misguiding. And then Lord Chaitanya says that the author of the Vedanta Sutra is Srila Vyasadeva, and he has given his meaning in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we just take from the author what the author has to say. We don't need to give any indirect meaning or interpretation. We just hear what the author is saying. So then Lord Chaitanya is continuing to explain that we may think that after liberation there is nothing, there is no activity, there is just zero or just some light, but there is nothing there basically. But that is not correct. That is imperfect knowledge, because the soul is always active. You can see, the body is active as long as the soul is inside the body. Once the soul leaves the body is dead. So activity is with the soul, not with the body. What happens is we get so frustrated with this material world that we say, oh, because there is activity in the material world, so I want in the spiritual world there should be no activity. We are not able to understand that the spiritual world, there is no misery. It's on the spiritual platform. But there has to be activity. This activity is the nature of the soul. If we think, oh, spiritual world is also miserable like the material world, means we are not able to understand what is spiritual. Then our knowledge is only material. So there is a spiritual activity. I'm sorry. It's the soul that acts. And the soul, when it's acting perfectly in its position, understanding his position, that's devotional service, pure devotional service. So God, He is a person. He's a person. All the scriptures are saying that. And He has many potencies. God is omnipotent, we say. Means He has many potencies, innumerable energies. And by His energies, He is expanding as we, the tiny, tiny living entities. And yet He is a person Himself. This is the Lord. He is unlimited Himself, and yet He has expanded as us, the tiny jivas. We are His energy. The material world is His energy, but He still remains a person. We cannot say that God is like a piece of paper and you cut the paper and so the big piece of paper is no more, there are only tiny bits. No, God is not paper. Paper is a material object. It's unconscious. God is not paper. God is a supreme conscious being. He's spiritual. Paper is material. Paper is not spiritual. So we have to understand, what does spiritual mean? Spiritual means eternal, blissful. And God is the supreme eternal. He's the unlimited eternal. Okay. So please continue reading, but just read a little louder. No? Your voice was a little too soft. Maybe,
Okay.
yeah, because when you were doing the aarti, it was good, but now when you're reading, it was a little slow.
Okay, I will try.
Yeah.
Okay. Thus, Lord Chaitanya exposed many. Is it okay?
Yeah, I don't know why. It's because when you were
Sound
singing,
low?
that time it was loud. I don't know why it sounds very soft now.
Oh, let me check again. Okay. Thus, Lord Chaitanya exposed many defects in Mayavadi philosophy. And although the Bhaṭṭācārya tried to establish himself by logic and word jugglery, Lord Chaitanya was able to defend himself from his attacks. The Lord established that the Vedic literature is meant for three things: understanding our relationship with the Absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead, acting according to the understanding and achieving the highest perfection of life, law and love of God. Anyone who tries to prove that the Vedic literature aims at anything else must be victim of his own imagination.
So,
Now,
no, your voice is not very good, actually. I'm not
very
sure why is it. So anyway, I'll just speak a little bit. All the Vedas are explaining these three things. What is our relationship with God? Acting in that relationship. And then the goal, achieving the goal, that is Krishna Prema, love of God. So understanding that we have an eternal relationship with God. Sambandha Gyan, Abhideya, that is devotional service, to act in that understanding, acting in that relationship, and Prayojana, the goal, that is Krishna Prema, love of God. All the Vedas are explaining these three things. That we have an eternal loving relationship with God. Whenever there's a relationship, there is some reciprocation, no? There is some activity. So acting in that relationship, that is devotional service. And then the ultimate realization, perfection, love of God. These three things. And if we try to prove, or if anyone tries to prove, that the Vedas are trying to say anything else other than these three things, means it is imagination. It is only we are speaking out of our own imagination, own mental speculation. It's not the truth. because the Vedas are explaining the truth, and this is these three things. Is that okay?
Yes, it's okay. But I have one question. Like we say, everything is like done by our man. Like soul and man is not same, right?
No, it's different.
Yeah.
The
So
mind
Atma,
is the one.
yeah, mind. No, mind is, I think, is also different thing, right? Is mind and like it is little confusing. Like activity is done by soul. Like we read before, like all activity is done by soul. When the soul is existing, our body, it is active. When it just leave our body is just like a uh, like actionless thing or something like that. So
Yes.
yeah, so here soul, mind, body, how it is related in our Vedas, like how it is explained.
We are the soul,
Mm-hmm.
and we have the subtle covering, which is made up of mind, intelligence, and false ego.
Mm-hmm.
And we have the gross covering, which is made up
Mm-hmm.
of earth, water, air, fire, ether. So
Mm-hmm.
the gross covering is this body that we can see, our legs, hands, eyes, ears, nose. This is made of gross elements. And our subtle body, what we cannot see, is our mind, intelligence, and our false ego. And all these are material, but we are the spirit soul.
Mm-hmm.
We, the individual, when we are saying I, that sense, I exist. This is the
Mm-hmm.
soul. We
Oh.
are each individual soul. Yes.
Mhm. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And before I was confused, like how it is explained. Yes.
So we don't say I mind, right? We say my
Yes.
mind, mera
My
man,
mind. Yes. हाँ मेरा
right?
मन. Yes.
We
Yes.
don't say I mind.
Hmm.
So
So
when
I
we are saying
is
mera
soul.
man, means who is that I? That's the soul.
Mm. Soul. Okay. Okay.
Of
But
course,
we say
right
like
now
I
we are
am
thinking we
doing.
are the body.
Mm. But we say like I am doing this. I am doing that. I am going here. Like but here I. यहाँ
Yes.
पे
So
तुम
who?
I ही बोलते हैं ना?
Yeah. So who is that I?
Is soul.
Yes. Of course,
Oh.
right now we are thinking this I is the body. Right now we are thinking I'm the body. But actually, we are not the body. We are the soul. We are inside the body.
Oh.
Yes. We are inside the body. We are not the
Mm.
body. We are the soul.
Mm.
So, this body is a covering for the soul. Like how, we have this body, then we wear our undergarment, and then we wear the outer garment.
Mm.
Huh? So similarly, the soul is covered by this subtle body, mind, intelligence, false ego. And outside that is the gross body
Yeah.
of
Body.
this ears, eyes, nose, like this.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
So
Yes.
the false ego is we are thinking, I am the body. But the true
Uh-huh.
ego is when we can understand, I am part and parcel of Krishna. I am eternal soul,
Mm.
part and parcel of Krishna. I am eternal servant of Krishna. That is real ego.
Mm.
That is our real consciousness, true consciousness.
Mm.
Yes. Is
Yes.
that
Yes.
okay?
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Very much okay. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
The Lord then quoted some verses from Puranas, by which he established that Shankaracharya was ordered to teach Mayavad philosophy. by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he quoted a verse from Padma Purana, Uttarkhand 62.31, in which it is stated that the Lord ordered Mahadeva, Lord Shiva, to present some imaginary interpretation of the Vedic literature to divert people from actual purpose of the Vedas. In this way, try to make them atheists. The Lord said after that they can be engaged in producing more population. It is also stated in the Padma Purana, Uttarakhand 25.7, that Lord Shiva explained to his wife Parvati that in the age of Kali, he would come in the form of Brahmana to preach an imperfect interpretation of the Vedas known as Mayavad, which is actuality is but a second edition of atheistic Buddhist philosophy.
So Lord Chaitanya, because now he is explaining to Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya the true knowledge, actually what Vedanta Sutra means understanding our relationship with God, acting in that relationship, and final goal, love of God. And Lord Chaitanya is also saying that the propounder, the teacher of the Mayavad philosophy is Adi Shankaracharya. He's the leader, he's the one who started. And Padma Puran, Uttarakhanda says, why did he do it? Why did he do it? Because he's ordered by Krishna. Krishna has ordered Lord Shiva to come as Shankaracharya to misinterpret the Vedas. It's some imaginary interpretation. Why? He's saying to keep the atheist away from the devotional service. You know? So it is covered Buddhism. It's a covered atheism. This Mayavad philosophy. So Padma Puran is giving this reference that why did Shankaracharya do it? He's ordered. He's Lord Shiva actually. He's an incarnation of Lord Shiva. So it's his service to Krishna. And Lord Shiva is also telling to Parvati that he is going to come as a Brahmana and he is going, same Padma Puran, Uttarakhanda. Lord Shiva is telling to Parvati ji that in Kali Yuga he is going to come as in a Brahmana and he will teach this misinterpretation of the Vedas for the atheist. So because Mayavad is actually covered atheism, it's packaged. But if you open the package, it's actually atheism. Because it denies the personality of God. That's all. So
the Bhaṭṭācārya was overwhelmed by these explanations of Lord Chaitanya. After hearing Mayavad philosophy explained by Lord Chaitanya, he could not speak after he had remained silent for some time. Lord Chaitanya said to him, "My dear Bhaṭṭācārya, don't be astonished by this explanation. Please take it from me that the devotional service of Supreme Lord is highest perfectional stage of human understanding indeed. It is so attractive that even those who are already liberated become devotees by the inconceivable potency of Supreme Personality of Godhead. There are many such conversions in the Vedic literature. For instance, in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.7.10, the famous Atmaram verse describes how impersonalists says who are absorbed in self-realization and liberated from all material attachments become attracted to devotional service by the various activities of Lord Krishna. Such are the transcendental qualities of Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So now after Sārvabhauma Bhaṭṭācārya is hearing about all this, the real knowledge. And he's understanding that how all his life he was following the misinterpretation of the real knowledge. He's very quiet now. So Lord Chaitanya is telling him, you know, please don't be astonished, because now Bhaṭṭācārya knows that what Lord Chaitanya is saying is the truth. You know, he's understanding this is the truth. So Lord Chaitanya is saying that the highest understanding of a human being is to engage in devotional service to the Lord. And Bhagavatam is saying that even those who are liberated, those who are on the Brahmavadis, who have understand that I am not God, the God is Supreme Brahman, even they get attracted to hearing Krishna's Leelas, Krishna's pastimes. So this is the because Krishna is so attractive that he's even attracting the Atmarams. The Atmaramas are the souls who are already on the Brahman platform. They understand perfectly, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. They don't have knowledge as yet that Krishna is God, but they understand that I'm not God, but God is greater than me, and that he's the Supreme Brahman. But when they hear about Krishna, they get automatically attracted. So there are some famous examples of such personalities. Auntie Rashmi, you know?
हाँ.
Who?
No, I
कौन थे जो ऑलरेडी और लिबरेटेड थे, आत्माराम थे, फिर कृष्णा के फिर भागवतम सुना तो डिवोटी हो गए? कौन थे वो? सुखदेव गोस्वामी. सुखदेव गोस्वामी, हाँ, वो लिबरेटेड थे.
हाँ, करेक्ट.
हाँ, पर फिर उन्होंने भागवतम सुना उनके फादर से, व्यासदेव से, तो वो
हाँ,
भक्त बन गए.
हाँ, व्यासदेव चाहते थे, उनको पता था कि मेरा बेटा भागवतम सुन सकता है, पर वो क्योंकि वो तो ब्रह्मचारी हो गया था ना, पैदा होते ही चले गया था घर से. फिर उन्होंने है ना ग्वाल बालों को ये भागवतम के कुछ पैराग्राफ सिखाए और उनको बोला गाय चढ़ाते समय आप ये बोलना, और वहां से सुखदेव पास हो रहे थे और उनके कानों में जब भागवतम पढ़ा तो उन्होंने बोले अरे ये क्या है, ये तो बहुत सुंदर है. और ये वो ग्वालों के पास गए और उनको बोला ये आपने कहाँ से सीखा? तो उसने बोला हमने तो ये व्यासदेव से सीखा. तो वो फिर अपने पिताजी के पास आए सुखदेव जी, और उन्होंने उनसे रिक्वेस्ट की कि भाई मुझे अभी भागवतम पूरा सुनना है, सीखना है.
तो ये है हियरिंग अबाउट कृष्णा की जो आत्माराम है. सुखदेव तो लिबरेटेड थे.
हाँ, ये सुनने से उनको ये ज्ञान हुआ,
प्योर डिवोटी.
हाँ,
प्योर डिवोटी हो गए. तो
फिर वो गए.
अट्रैक्शन इतना है भक्ति का,
हाँ,
कि जो लिबरेटेड है, जो सेल्फ रियलाइज्ड है, वो
हाँ,
भी कृष्णा के बारे में सुन के,
के बाद
कृष्णा की लीला सुन के, कृष्णा की
उनके
भक्ति के बारे में सुन के वो भी भक्त बन जाते.
भक्त बन जाते. करेक्ट.
Thank you so
But
much.
self-realization and liberated, like these two are also related with devotion, right? क्योंकि मोह माया सब छोड़ दिया ना, तो we are just
exactly
give up.
very right. Thank you. जो प्योर डिवोटी है वो ऑलरेडी लिबरेटेड है और सेल्फ रियलाइज्ड है. मगर कौन कौन होते हैं कि जो ज्ञान मार्ग से लिबरेटेड हो जाते हैं या सेल्फ रियलाइज्ड हो जाते हैं, तो वो भी जब कृष्णा के बारे में सुनते हैं तो वो भी भक्त बन जाते हैं.
So right here, like Sukadeva Goswami, he liberated and he already self-realized about himself. So
Yes.
that time when he self-realized, like going through the self-realization and he liberated, so that time he was not devotee.
No, that time he was not devotee.
हाँ, तो यही सेम बात हुई ना कि उद्धव ज्ञानी थे, उद्धव जी।
हाँ,
Mhm.
हाँ, तो कृष्णा हम देखते थे ये जिसको इतना ज्ञान है लेकिन इसको तो भक्ति प्यार पता ही नहीं है, तभी तो उन्होंने उसको वृंदावन भेजा।
right, right,
Mm.
that's right. तो जो रत्ना का क्वेश्चन है, तो सुखदेव गोस्वामी पहले भक्त नहीं थे, पर वो ज्ञानी थे,
ज्ञानी
वो
परम
सेल्फ रियलाइज थे, और
वो
फिर
तो
उन्होंने भागवतम सुनी तो वो भक्त बन गए।
भक्त
Oh,
बन।
okay. Okay.
हम्म। तो जो
Mm.
भक्त है वो तो ऑलरेडी लिबरेटेड है,
हाँ,
मुक्त है।
that's why.
वो
Yeah,
ब्रह्म
that's
भूत
why.
है। यस, जो प्योर डिवोटी है वो ऑटोमेटिकली वो लोग लिबरेटेड है, सेल्फ रियलाइज्ड है, उनको
हाँ,
दूसरा कुछ प्राप्त करने की जरूरत नहीं है, वो खाली भक्ति करके सेल्फ रियलाइज हो जाते हैं, लिबरेट हो जाते हैं।
सही।
Okay. Oh, okay.
ठीक
Thank
है, थैंक यू सो मच, विल स्टॉप हियर फॉर टुडे।
Okay.
हरे कृष्ण।
हरे
कृष्ण
कृष्ण।